being said, we have a key area here at price level, let's mark that out, 2,857.05 within this range. Now, there's something I usually normally do. Anytime I see an area like this, fair value before a resistance or a support area, I mark that support area as a very important zone to look into. But remember, this is the monthly time frame, and this could take about 2 months for the market to get into this area. Now, with that being said, we'll want to sit with the sentiment from last month. What has the market been doing last month? Has been buying. So let's head over into the weekly time frame to see if we'll have levels to continue with the buy. Now, on the weekly time frame, I'm seeing this right here. I'm seeing another order block here. Right into the zone, there's a validation there. So that gives me the thought. My thought behind at the zone is they should come right into this area if the market sentiment continue the way it is. Now, investors putting their money right into, let me take this out, putting their money into safe havens. So that could trigger gold selling into the zone, proper sell into the zone, before we start looking out for the buys. Remember that today is Monday, so we're looking at the directions for the week. So we could see a short-term sell into the zone before we start seeing this. Before we start seeing the buy. So I'll be looking at more sells on gold for the week. That being said, this is the area here, and I need gold to sell right into the zone. 2,951.7 before I start looking out for buy opportunities. 2,951.70 before I start looking out for buy opportunities. So where would I be selling from? If you move to the 4-hour time frame, that should be your key area, and that is why you saw me selling gold this morning from this zone here. I have a fair value that aligns. Let me see. Get that area here that aligns with this traditional resistance area. Now, market is rejecting that week, so I expect this to give all through to the downside. So I'll be looking out for sales opportunity on gold. Sales opportunity on gold midweek. That is from today up onto Wednesday. See that this low is taken out before I start looking out for buy opportunities to the upside. So we might have like a doji candle form for the week. A doji candle form for the week, an initial sell, then an initial buy to start up the buy, starting out from next week. So I'm looking out for sales more this week. That's on gold. Now on Euro USD, what do I have on Euro USD? I've been looking at this pair since, and truth be told, I'm confused on what the pair will do. Now, there's something I would have loved to do. Let's go into this. Let me share my. If you want to trade Forex TradingView, if you want to trade anything that has a currency pair that has to do with the USD. First, you need to determine the strength of the dollar, and you get that strength by analyzing the dollar index. So let's see what the dollar index has. Then you can now say gold, pound. We could now say the USD pairs wants to do this or that. Dollar index. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right then. Now this is dollar index. What are we trying to do on dollar index? We're trying to figure out the direction to dollar. Is the dollar strong or weak? Now, if I head over to the weekly time frame, let's start from the weekly time frame. Now, this is the weekly time frame on dollar index, right into this level here. Let me mark that into this zone here. We had that rejection last week. Now that validates this red candle as my order block here. As my order block. I'm seeing a rejection right from that with this candle here. So what do I expect the dollar to do? I expect a little bit of strength for the dollar to come into play, thereby pushing right into this zone, this short-term high I have here. Into the short-term I have here. Now we might not find an area of rejection on the weekly time frame for the dollar. If we move into the daily time frame, on the daily time frame, do I have a zone as well? No, I still have a fair value on the daily time frame around here, a tiny fair value, which I expect that the dollar will go right into, turn this area into an order block. Now let's move to the 4-hour time frame for clarity's sake. You could see that zone on the 4-hour time frame that we have rejections here on the proportional block here. You could see this rejection here. Where's my pen? Rejections here. We are here, we had rejections here. So I'm expecting this to happen. Now, with that being said, I expect strength to come into the dollar. So I'll be expecting dollar strength, which means for Euro USD, you should be expecting sales. For pound USD sales. USD JPY, you should be looking out for a buy. So let's move right into the chart and see if we'll have that correlation. Now on Euro USD, we're looking out for sell opportunities on Euro USD. We had this rejection to the upside right into the zone last week. Now I will expect that Euro USD will still do a little bit of a buy in the beginning of this week, a little bit of a buy, which might be today, tomorrow. Today, tomorrow, a very short buy into these key areas here. Now, this previous candle, this last two candle we see here, this previous candle we see here, as a result of this week, on the lower time frame, we'll have areas of fair value, areas of order block, and the market could reject from. So if I go right into the daily time frame, do I have any zone here? No, I am not seeing anything here. On the 4-hour time frame, yes, I do have a zone here. You could see that area up onto this level. So I expect Euro USD with a pound and dollar strength to give us a rejection to the downside. So I'll be looking further for more sells on Euro USD for the week. Sell into which zone? Now, if you move into the daily time frame, we have this area. This area here, liquidity resting below here. We have another side of liquidity resting here at 1.07758. Second one at this zone at 1.07310. So what would I be looking out for? I'll be looking out for the first area of liquidity beneath this zone here, 1.0776. Now, with that being said, I go head over to the 15 minutes time frame. Wow. I go head over to the 15 minutes time frame and look out for structure to shift. And look out for structure to shift to the downside. So I'll just patiently wait and see the reaction of the market around this 4-hour zone, around this 4-hour area. Now, if you look at the structure, you will notice this. We have a high here, a lower high, a higher low here, lower high. I'll have another lower high forming. Now, by trend line, for those using trend line, you'll notice this. So you want to see that the market continues doing this to the downside, respecting the trend line up onto this area. So I'll be looking out for more sales on Euro USD. Aussie USD, what do I have on Aussie USD for the week? Aussie USD for monthly time frame still has this area to come right into 0.5032 on the monthly time frame. Now you could see this rejection from this area here. You see that rejection there after several weeks, 3 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 3 weeks of rejection, of stalling. And last week, last month, sorry, 3 months of rejection. Last month, we had a rejection to the downside, thereby breaking whatever the market has. So I expect this to continue to the downside as well. Dollar strength coming in. Now, if you move to the weekly time frame, do I have a zone? No, this is far too gone for the market to retrace back into. Even though we have a break of structure here, what could possibly happen is this before this. But we do not have a zone on the weekly where I feel the market should reject. So if I move over to the daily time frame, you could see that quite a rejection, quite a break to the downside. Let me mark this. Consolidation being taken out. You could see that these are range market, and now this is the expansion to the downside. So I expect this expansion to continue. Now, if you move to the 4-hour time frame where we could possibly find our levels to trade from, we have different areas here. We have the fair value to the upside. We have one here. Like this. We have a fair value to the downside. We'll have one here. In between here, do we have any? No. So what I would love to see Aussie USD do is a quick one into this zone before we continue bearish. A quick one into that zone before we continue bearish. So we might see this happen today, tomorrow, right into this area, giving us the high of the week, and then start looking out for the sales within the week. BTC, if you remember what we said on BTC, we've been on 73,000. My projection has been 73,056. That was what I said. And I think we're heading towards that zone. You could see that here. So we're heading towards that zone. Now from here, I'll be looking for BTC bullish. If you do not have money on BTC, go prepare yourself. You might see this market start with a very strong move to the upside, expecting BTC to continue with a buy. Now we might have a new high on BTC. We might have a new high on BTC right from this zone. So what will I be doing this week? I'll be selling it like I did said on gold. We might have this buy and sell within the week. So oh God. So I expect a sell in the beginning of this week, then a buy later on at the end. A sell. So today, Monday, Tuesday, we might see that sell right into this area. Sell right into this area. Then by Thursday and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you have that buy. So we might expect to see the formation of it at this zone. And when we begin to see Doji Candle at areas of support or areas of resistance, that could mean what? A reversal to the upside. So I'm expecting that on BTC. Now moving to the daily time frame, it's all on the sell for me. Sell for me midweek. Today, tomorrow to Wednesday. I'm looking out for sell opportunities. If you move to the 4-hour time frame, do I have a zone to trade from? Yes, I do have a zone, and the market is far gone. You could see that zone here. This is where I would love BTC to retrace into if I'm to sell at all. I would love to see these retracements than this. But if that is not happening, you could trade this move to the downside on the 15 minutes time frame. And all you'll be looking out for is structural breaks. Break and retest right into the downside. Now we could see this retracement again, then the sell to the downside. So for BTC, got two options. Midweek sell. Midweek sells, midweek buy. So I sells today, tomorrow. The buy is starting out from Wednesday through to Friday. What other pair? What other pair? What other pair would you want me to look into?
NZD card.
NZD card. Now, on the weekly time frame, we saw last week, we saw CAD's trend coming in. NZD was the weakest currency of all. We saw CAD showing off with this trend last week. Nice move for me. And if you note where the market currently is, you could see that rejection at the start of the week. Now, where do you think this guy is heading to? I want to see NZD CAD sell again into this area here, 0.78171. I know someone would ask, why do I feel it should sell into that area? I have a fair value here. Sorry, another block here. If you notice there's a break of structure to the upside, this candle was responsible for that move to the upside. Last opposite candle that brought about that break. So I expect these guys to come back right into it again before we continue. And that's on the weekly time frame. So for that reason, I'm expecting NZD to continue with a sell to the downside. Now, if I head over to the daily, where would I be selling from? There is on the only zone I can see here is this low here. Low here. So NZD might possibly do a buy to the upside, give us a rejection from that level, and then we'll see this continue. So with that being said, I'll be looking out for today, tomorrow, I'll be looking out for buy opportunities on this guy, right? And for day traders, but if you're a swing trader, you could decide to just lay low and wait for the market to get into this area before you sell. But for day traders, you could decide to start looking out for buy opportunities right into 0.79927 before the sells kicks to the downside. So with that, move over to the 1 hour time frame. On the 1 hour time frame, you could see structural takeouts already. This low had been taken out and moved to the upside fair value. Market dropping right into this order block, and now we're seeing this to the upside. So on SZD, like I said, today, tomorrow, look out for buy opportunities right into the daily zone here, into this daily zone before we start looking out for sales. Sales for the week. What other pair? What other pair? What other pair? What other pair are you looking at?
Pound JPY.
Pound JPY, pound JPY, pound JPY. Okay, on pound JPY, this is the weekly time frame. Yes, on pound JPY, we had this. You could see all of this. Now, let me bring this out carefully. Look at this high. Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. To the downside. We had a fair value here. The fair value. This guy came right into it. I'm expecting the market to drop into this. Let me mark this. To drop into this area here, into this zone, which it did that with this candle. Now, what do I expect of this? Buy or sell? That I do not know yet, but I expect a rejection from that area. Now, if we move to the 4 hours, which means on the weekly time frame on the pound JPY, I do not have a direction yet. On the daily, let's see if I can figure out something on the daily. Now, on the daily time frame, what do I have? I have a fair value here. Nice. I have another one here forming. Nice. Still forming. I have areas of support being broken here. This area of support's taken out, another area taken out. So what do I expect? That this guy should go right into this area, rejects at this zone. This is my first level of defense. Rejection into this area for me to start selling. So I'll be looking out for sell opportunities too on pound JPY for the week. Now, with that being said, with all of this rejection we're looking at right now from this zone, head over to the 4 hour time frame. You could see that here. On the 4 hour time frame, already having a fair value. Now, this is a gap. And anytime we have a gap like that, the market will need to go right into that gap, have it filled. And that is what we're having. So I expect this guy to look out for the sell. So I'll be looking out for sell opportunities too on pound JPY for the week. Sell opportunities on pound JPY for the week. Someone dropped, let me see. Aussie CHF. Wow, that's a far one. On Aussie CHF, what am I looking out for? Aussie CHF. What am I expecting? On Aussie CHF, starting out from the weekly time frame, let's start from the monthly. From the monthly time frame, you could see that strong sell to the downside. Well, Aussie CHF has been a good pair. So that means if you had been selling from the beginning of this month, let's see how many pips it has gone so far. From where it started from the open to where it is currently is about 432 pips. Well, moving over to the monthly, what do we have? We're already seeing this, to the weekly. Order flow, it ranged around here. Then we had this break to the downside. And the week ended very bearish. So I expect this guy to continue the sells too. I expect this sell to continue to the downside. If you move to the 4 hour, on the daily time frame, we call this a falling knife. This is a falling knife trade kind of trade. Now, you do not expect that the market this should end bearish. You do not expect that this market will go back right into here or here before you start selling those. So you should be looking out for more sells. Sell opportunities on this guy. Now you could see that again. We have that gap here. This guy went right into it, have it filled, and now we're expecting this. So you could start looking out for sell opportunities on this guy too, Aussie CHF for the week. So I'll be taking one last one, just one last asset. One last one. Anybody? Can we go into crude oil? Okay. Let's look at WTI. What am I seeing on WTI? Now on WTI on the weekly time frame, all through last week, this is what oil has been, I think I marked out these lows. I marked out these lows. I was looking out for a break. You could see that rejections around $64.75. $64.75 for crude. See rejections, went back up, came again, went back, came. Now it took out technically it took out all of these highs, liquidity takeouts, and expect it to come towards this liquidity too, which it dropped. Now that's a crash to the downside, dollar strength as well. So we're expecting that dollar strength to continue to the downside. Now, with that being said, if you move to the daily, what do we have? Fair value gaps. Fair value gaps that the market needs more of fundamentals before we see that area is filled over here. So I'll be looking out for more sales on WTI as well. You can see we have that same gap here. We had that same gap here, and we had a feel of that gap. This bullish candle. So I expect this guy to continue. Expect this sell to continue. You start looking out for your sales on the 15 minutes time frame or on the 5 minutes time frame, whichever you wish. Lower highs, and just continue right to your thing. Now, this can be an open trade because you do not have a value, an area of where you're looking at the market to sell into. If you move to the weekly, you can see that. On the weekly, the next area I'm seeing is here. Now the weekly, but that's too far. Now you could take it right to $51, $53, 53.924. 53.924 into the zone for the sell of the week. So that's it. Crude dropping into this area before we see this again. So that's my projection on this pairs. Now you could just take 1, 2, 3 pairs and monitor the moves for the week. Gold, like I said, I'm looking out for sells on gold. Nice one. Euro USD, I'm expecting a sell too for the week on Euro USD. Aussie USD, you could see Euro USD looking like it's rejecting our zone on the 4-hour time frame already. So I expect this guy to drop. Aussie USD as well. Okay, I'm looking out for sells too on Aussie USD, but not like a good trade for me. I think we'll have fundamentals on Aussie, on the Australian dollar. So that should be our trigger. We'll need to see what the fundamentals will do for the week before you go into this trade. So you could have this on your watch list and see what happens. Now on BTC, like I said, I'm looking out for sells. BTC initial sell into the zone, then a short-term buy again for the week. A short-term buy for the week. So we're having 2 biases on this pair for this week. NZDCHF, I think, no, we didn't analyze this. I didn't really. Okay, pound JPY as well. I'm looking out for sales too for pound JPY for the week. Where are we? I have this low here acting up like as my resistance. So I expect the market to go right into that area and give me my sales to continue selling. So I'm looking out for sales opportunity too on this guy. I don't know if anyone has a question. Or there's one thing you do not understand. You can hurriedly chip it in. We have one more minute. 1 more minute to end the call.
Okay, sir, please, where can I find the WT pair?
Okay, go to, where are we? If you click on your currency pairs, come to commodities.
Okay, sir.
Come to commodities, spot commodities, and you'll be seeing WTI, natural gas against the US dollar and the Brent, the US dollar. So 3 commodities on commodity. Yeah, 3 commodities under the commodity class.
Okay, sir.
All right then. All right, then, in the absence of none, for those who are learning how to trade, who are new to Forex, we'll be having our training starting about 10 this morning, and that's like a beginner's class to what Forex is all about. If you are intermediate, your class will hold on Friday. We'll be holding classes for intermediate on Friday, and we'll tend to discuss challenges and how we can help you solve them. Now, that's by the side. And for those who haven't funded yet, please, I will encourage you to fund your account and start milking the market. Start making money from this market and do not let these opportunities pass you by. There are lots of great things coming up this week. We could see the market is set up for great moves. So let's see how we can hop on them and make some good cash out of it. Thank you, everyone. I wish you all a wonderful and profitable week ahead.